Patrick, thank you for coming.
Morning, Paul.
CowboyLibertarian.com, great website. Well, let's talk specifically about health care, and then we'll move on to general impressions because we're fresh off that clip. He said, I invite your input. I'd love to work with you. Wasn't there a health care summit before the health care bill got passed where Republicans had some input?
Well, he didn't have to learn any new words because that's the same thing he said at that health care summit to Paul Ryan, in fact.
Yeah, indeed, who had the response.
Who was the Republican response.
Yeah.
But, you know, he talked about medical malpractice. And we're going to stop frivolous lawsuits. Well, first of all, how do you stop a frivolous lawsuit once it's filed? It's got to go through the court system. What he didn't talk about is capping punitive damages. That's what's crippling people. That's why there's the defensive medicine, because they're afraid of getting sued, you know, for lots of money on punitive damages. So he didn't want to talk about that because the trial lawyers are the biggest contributors to the Democratic Party.
The question we were asking earlier from our viewers is, what do you think was missing from the State of the Union? I'll ask you.
He talks about jobs, but he's talking about jobs 25 years from now. He's talking about green jobs. The green industry right now is heavily subsidized. So it's very nice to talk about the future. But as I said to you a minute ago, if you want to get to that mountain, you're going to have to walk through a valley to get there. So how are you going to get there? For example, on energy, he talks about solar, he talks about wind, and we want to have all this renewables by 2050. Politicians always like to put it off 50 years from now because they're going to be dead. But you know, when he talks about that kind of thing, how are you going to get there? It's just not possible. He doesn't. You know, what I would say if he was president, he should have said, you know something? I'm ordering all the federal fleet of cars to be switched to natural gas because we got plenty of natural gas and it burns clean. That's the first step. That's the transition fuel that's going to get us to this energy future. But again, you know, the politicians like to talk about the future because they're not going to be here.
Big picture, State of the Union last night. You want to give him a grade?
I'll give him a gentleman's C.
Okay.
And I average that out because I give him an A for style. Obama, he's a very good speaker. He's like Bill Clinton. But unlike Bill Clinton, he doesn't understand the music of America. He understands the words. But Bill Clinton, you know, could stand there and say, you know, I'm going to fight for you till the last dog dies. And you believed it. Because Bill Clinton came from that hardscrabble, Hot Springs, Arkansas background. You know, Barack Obama still has that unique background where he spent time in Hawaii and then he spent time in Indonesia. Not his fault, he was a child.
Yeah.
But he didn't have that American experience here in the United States. So I still think he's almost like a visitor in some ways.
30 seconds on the other side of the aisle, Paul Ryan's response afterwards.
Well, as I said last night, you know, Barack Obama likes to give you a nice glass of sweet tea. And Paul Ryan gave us a little spoonful of castor oil. And he told the American people pretty much the truth. This is how it's going to be. We're going to have to take our medicine, we're going to have to cut this spending, and we're going to have to live within our means. I think this country needs a little castor oil. You know, for many years we've said, and we do it here in California, and Jerry Brown's bringing it up, people have to understand, what do you want and what are you willing to pay for? It always sounds nice to be offered all these wonderful things. Oh, the government's going to give you this and the government's going to give you that. The government's not going to give you anything. They're going to take it out of somebody's pocket and give it to you. Yeah. So that's just a transfer of wealth. So to me, it's the idea, that's what we have to look at. We've got to live within our means, and I think Paul Ryan did a very good job.
Okay. The Cowboy Libertarian with a capital L at CowboyLibertarian.com. Again, terrific website. Patrick, it is always nice to see you.
Thanks, Paul.
Governor and Senator, and are you surprised, and what do you have to say?
I'm not surprised. Yeah. I mean, we knew about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, that this thing was going to turn out as it did. You know, Jerry built up a double-digit lead in the field poll, and that was pretty much it. I think the Whitman campaign was really stunned by the whole Nannygate scandal. Yeah. They had a little momentum at that point, and it just got stumped. But I think the bigger problem with the Whitman campaign was they didn't use 2009 very well. They didn't use the year before the election. You know, that's when if you have a new candidate, especially someone who's never been in politics, you run them around the track a little bit and see how it runs. You let them stub their toe with the reporter because that's correctable. But they kept their cocoon and then figured they're going to run ads and they're going to win an election. Well, that's not how you win campaigns.
Let's talk about the national wave and maybe why California is different. The Tea Party had a huge impact. And you got the poster boys. You got Marco Rubio and you have Rand Paul with big victories and more than 60-seat swing in the House. California and Nevada not playing along. Why is that?
Well, California, we have the Sierra Nevada. Yeah. I think any wave that hits, we got a natural wall that stops it. But Nevada, I mean, you know, Harry Reid, if you look at Nevada, Nevada is two things, mining and gambling. That's it. The rest of the land's owned by the federal government. And Las Vegas, Clark County, is the most populous. and you have a lot of labor unions down there, and you just win Clark County, and you pretty much win the election. Plus, the Republicans nominated somebody who probably wasn't the best candidate at the time. They had two other candidates who probably could have given Harry a lot better run for his money.
Here's my first guest, Cowboy Libertarian Patrick Dorinson, who says the nanny state is out of control. Welcome to the show, Patrick.
Well, thank you for having me, Charles.
All right, so, you know, a lot of people saying this is just a smart move. The government should be regulating things like this. And why are people like you whining about it?
Because I come from the official nanny state, California, and we ban everything. No, I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. Why is the government getting into the light bulb business? You know, I was amazed what Stephen Chu said. He said, we are taking away a choice that continues to let people waste their own money. They're going to spend their own money on the things that they need to spend it on. And this is just another burden on them, especially on people who are going through tough times. You're going to ask them to buy more expensive light bulbs.
Are you worried, and Stephen Chu, of course, being the Energy Secretary, are you worried, though, that this is just really the tip of the iceberg?
Yes, I am. In California, they're trying to ban plastic bags. They're trying to ban styrofoam. They're trying to ban all kinds of things. What's going to stop them from saying, as you said in your setup, SUVs? What about food? Now they're trying to tell us what kind of food we can eat. Look, people have to make choices in their lives. The government shouldn't be telling everybody what they can and can't do.
Is this just something that comes hand in hand with government, that once they get in the seat of power, they believe, hey, you know what, I know better than the people who put me in office?
They not only think that, they spend too much time in Washington. Maybe we ought to cut their pay in half and send them home for 6 months, because they keep passing laws that we really don't need. They're putting a burden on small business. They're putting a burden on the person out there who's shopping at the 99-cent store trying to survive in this economy. You know, I suggest the Washington people start paying attention to the folks that are really hurting out there and stop paying attention to all these, you know, environmentalists who want to regulate the way we live.
And, you know, I think that you hit on it. This whole thing is really seeped in an ideology that has nothing necessarily, in my mind, to do with what's good for us and what's not good for us. There's a mindset out there that, you know what, we want to, I don't know whether you want to call it the green movement, tree huggers, whatever you want to say, we're going to build policies around this ideology, and we'll dress them up as other things, whether it's economic policy, or in this case, you know, we're going to save you money on a light bulb.
The green movement has become America's new religion. They got their own Easter, which is Earth Day. They got their own prophet, Al Gore, and they're trying to make everybody believe that we're somehow going to save the planet. This one generation of human beings is going to turn back the oceans and save the world. Look, the planet's doing just fine on its own, and they ought to get their nose out of folks' business right now.
You know, I got to tell you something. I agree with you 1,000% on everything you said, but are you worried that the next rule will be no hats indoors?
Boy, I'll tell you, they start going after hats. They're going to have a lot of folks out west. They're going to tell them where they can go.
All right.